spend a little bit more time on this conversation with Janet Ouko because can you imagine that in the last hour, when we've looked at the situation of education, we've talked about 2 issues. 3 maybe, that we've looked at teachers and the SHA issue.
Yes.
They contribute to this cycle of education. We've looked at the increment of school fees and talking about the fact that a lot of parents will not then be able to afford this in this term. And then we've also looked at capitation as reasons as to why this is continually late. And it's obvious that a handle on this has not been had for a long time, and that we are still in this mad cycle. Now, while all of this is going on, the degree of, because when we talk about teaching, we're talking about the transference of knowledge and the ability then for a child or a learner to understand from this transference. Now, even with all of those problems, unfortunately, this knowledge receptacle is not working. Because if you have this is the Usawa agenda did give us a report earlier that we were looking at students. This is not even this KNEC report. This was the Usawa agenda report on grade 6 learners who are not able to read and write, comprehension, not able to read and write. So even with all of those problems, then even the manner of teaching and how it is happening, the handle on knowledge and understanding is still a problem. I mean, honestly, how many problems can you have in just one sector? And then we also have to ask ourselves that this system around education, is it really working? I mean, there's the emotions and the sensitization. I do believe that when you see something going wrong, if you pretend like everything is okay and say it's going to get better tomorrow, you're part of the problem. That if you don't speak out about it and say, no, this has got to do better, we're actually forming part of the problem. But emotions and sensitivity aside, is this working for Kenya right now? Is it working? And if it's not, what can actually be done about it?
Actually, is that the competency-based education is not the issue. It is not at all. If you do not send money to schools, let me give you and our listeners an analogy. It's like a family that anticipates that our income every month is 30,000. So that family is able to plan, and it's even able to plan to have its meal plan, because we know that every month we have an income, say, of 30,000. So if we set aside, say, 10,000, so we're able to plan that it is sukuma wiki na mboga, na ugali na mayai. Once in a while we throw in a quarter kilo of meat. They are able to plan. So that family, in the context of feeding only, is able to have a balanced diet because you can see it. Now, that is different from a family that will have the 30,000, but we don't know when it will come. We don't know when it will come. So today we have 100 shillings. So when we have 100 shillings, we rush to the Githeri,
the next available spots.
The next available, So this 30,000 family can be malnutrited, because when you get money, you get what is available. Because when you had time to plan, you could even have gone to the mama mboga from Kisii, brings for you the kienyeji mbogas. You are able to plan. That is exactly what the head teachers, especially of primary schools, are telling the president today. That the head teachers today have high blood pressure. Because they are not able to relax in school. You cannot plan that I will buy, this at this particular time. I will do this. No, you can't, because you oscillate between school and Jogo. You to find out to the bank, has the money come? The money has not come. You don't know whether to charge parents, because again, when you charge parents, you're embarrassing an already bad government. So head teachers don't know what to do. Those are and they're expecting the 30,000 I talked about, the capitation of 1,200. It might come, but for now we don't have it. That is what you're seeing affecting quality of education, because when the school is not relaxed, and the head teacher is forever angry, it's forever bitter, it's forever, because this government is pitting heads of schools against the parents. Like, for example, the parents of Limuru girls here, one of the reps has written to me and is telling me, Ouko, somebody needs to talk about the plight of parents in national schools. Our school added remedial fees from 4,500 to 6,000.
What is remedial?
The remedial
It's like assistive
It's
learning.
like as extra classes, isn't
Extra
it?
classes, yeah.
extra classes. Okay, do not, these are outlawed.
Yes.
That's what I was going to
It's
ask.
actually outlawed,
That's what I was
yeah.
going to say. I thought they were not. Yeah.
I want you to look at 6,000 shillings. 6,000 shillings to a certain household, it is actually what they eat for the entire month.
Yeah.
You know, because we are in Kenya. Let people stop operating as if others are living in Europe and only come to supervise us or to help us. No, all of us know. And when we are saying some of these levies have a direct impact on households.
Yep.
Now, this same parent who was added the 6,000, at our school added remedial fees from 4,500 to 6,000 and development fees out of the blues to 10,000. So this parent did not know that they were supposed to part with 16,000. This is 6,000 plus 10,000. That is 16,000. And they have been, from 4 parents, were to pay fees in 2 installments. First and foremost, whose sharias are these?
Yeah.
Whose rules are these? As far as I'm concerned, the Ministry of Education says 50%, 30%, and 20%. So why are schools developing their own sharias and locking schools out of? Because they say the Form 4 parents were supposed to pay fees in 2 installments, but we were shocked on Monday when we took our kids back to school. So you'd already finished paying your installments for the two terms, as they said, but they have added another 16,000, 6,000 for remedial and 10,000 for development, which is what brings me to the next issue that I want to discuss. That this government has no plan for CBE, competency-based education. And the plan, because I said, the plan cannot be the capitation. Because capitation is money for electricity, is literally money to keep the school going. But capitation is not money for development. So the money for development, the burden for development to accommodate the dictates of the competency-based education have been pushed to the parent.
But those are the conversations that are being had with PTAs and school management currently, whereby to justify the increment that is then applied is that, well, we need a new dining hall. So, or we need to buy a new bus, or we need to a new classroom, or we need to put up a new social hall, or rather a multi-purpose hall, whatever the case may be. So it is applied directly to a need that the school has at the time. So what was when you talk about the Milema report, Muir report, what was the agreement in terms of what was supposed to happen for development in schools vis-a-vis how much then was supposed to be paid? Because that is the reasoning that's being given to a lot of parents right now. If we're talking about the plight of parents in national schools, the reasoning that's being given for the increment in fees right now is that, we need a new dining hall. We have many more students that we had last time. We need a new dining hall. We're going to buy a couple new buses. We need to, erect new labs and things like that. What is it supposed to be, whereby we look at development of schools, even the building of new schools? Where is that money supposed to come from?
It's really sad to discuss some of these things, because we seem to be opening a conversation that we do not then want to facilitate a national conversation about. Education is the business of the government. 100%. It is a business of the government. Anyone who feels otherwise must call us for a referendum. So that then we open it up to saying that it can be private and it can be publicly offered. Because some of the fee structures that the parents are carrying around have no difference with a private school.
Yes.
They have absolutely no difference. So it is we are now looking at privatization of education disguised as supporting the government to do what? Why is government having money for roads? Why is government having money for houses? Let me tell you, Ndu, this is a very interesting government that decided to rank the right to housing higher than the right to education. Without consulting Kenyans, it decided that the right to housing is more important than the right to education. And now everything we get to hear about is monies for building this and building the other. And we all know, because Kenyans can clearly see through it. Yes, you're taking money where there is business. But because you do not think that children are your business, you deny the education sector money. It was never contemplated that it will be the responsibility of parents to put up schools. It is a responsibility squarely of the government.
So is the money that's allocated towards education in the national budget, I beg your pardon, not sufficient?
The government is not allocating money for development. You see that? It is not allocating money for development. What we expected, and I say this with a lot of humility, is that by the time William Ruto was coming in, the education sector was going through a transition. And it was transitioning to the competency-based curriculum, which is now competency-based education. I was expecting that William Ruto will fit into the space and say education is going through some reforms, and give quite some thought to it, including at least retain education managers that had supported midwifery of this competency-based education, because they knew, that this is what we need to do and this is what we need to do. But that is not what we saw happening. That is not what we saw happening. He brought in completely new people and people who are so remote to the sector, and so that already, to some of us who could see through it, sent the messages that we needed, that there is no much interest in carrying out this competency-based education with the precision that it required to be done. And that is why, when you look at the budget for education, you will not see much variance between what was happening in the past and now, because there is no money for development. And that development, a child who has been admitted to go and do music in a school that had not looked at that social field of study, where do you expect them to get these ultramural stadiums, and studios and all that? Parents will be called to a meeting and asked to contribute for that. And that is why you're seeing fees going up by 110,000. But you know what? We have said no, and we are visiting, because it is us who are there when those previous governments were charging 110. It is us who reduced school fees to 53,000. We are still here, and we can still, reclaim our space and push back this state and tell the state. When you look at Alliance, it is very easy for you to make an assumption that all those parents have got money. No, the criteria that was used to admit those children was not income-based.
No, it wasn't.
It was results. That a child from Turkana, a child from Mailisaba in Kasarani has made the cut to Alliance. So you cannot make decisions that will exclude, that child. And we are aggressively even going to court to challenge some of these fee structures, because these are illegalities. They are not supported by government policy. They're not even supported by the law.
Janet, you talk about JSS in shambles, capitation in shambles, infrastructure unavailable. You talk about health, teachers unavailable. And here you talk about parliament and executive that is seemingly speaking the same language. No one is checking the other to ensure that education is delivered to the children of this republic. But you go a little bit further back, 2022, 2027, Ruto's manifesto. I just want to drop that in there. And the president gave a promise of 12 years of university basic education for all learners, focusing on reducing inequality between rich and poor students, strengthen secondary school education to make education cheaper than boarding. Just those two, because they are all the way to around 17. None of that is being achieved today. But I want to speak where Parliament sits in ensuring that quality of education is done, is given, that appropriation of funds goes there, and that money is spent well, and Parliament is silent. Is Parliament the weakest link in this entire conversation? Because they have the power of oversight. They have the power to call government to ask why capitation never got there. Is it the weakest link?
I wanted to say that Mwananchi is the weakest link. The common voter. And I almost quickly forgive them.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the amount of money that has been cut from the public basket to private individuals' pocket, and how that money can affect the voters, you need to be a politician to understand how that money can influence the voter, especially when you have caused so much pressure on that voter by denying them almost everything. Including a daily source of livelihood. They don't have. So when you come with 1,000 shillings, I do not want anybody to underestimate what 1,000 can do to a household that did not eat yesterday, does not know what to eat today, and will not eat tomorrow. It is devastating, and that is what William Ruto has mastered. That money can do almost everything. Money can do almost everything. That is what he has mastered. But I want to really, because when you look at the crop of members of parliament that we have, and you ask our voters, like, what criteria did you use to arrive at this person? Do you first understand that the member of parliament is your shield? Do you already understand that the member of parliament is supposed to be your shield?
Yeah.
That before the president gets to you, before he gets to your business, to tax you as heavily as he has taxed you today, he ought to have found this
buffer.
He ought to have fought with this buffer completely, a whole fight, until he gives up. That is what we want to put in our citizens, that we are where we are as a country because you gave very bad quality of persons who are supposed to be your defenders to go and defend you. Some people even voted for somebody who cannot speak. They has never uttered a word in parliament. And I asked them, so how does this person defend you? How does this person defend you? Because parliament is about that. And when you see people saying that he gave us 1,000 shillings, I almost want to tell them, when your child is out of school, can you go and collect that? Go back to where you kept that 1,000, retrieve it, go and pay. Do not sell your conscience. We have suffered as a country now. This is the 4th year going, and when you walk amongst people, and you walk amongst people, you can feel it. You can feel it. Yep. I walk in the streets of Kasarani, Choka, Ouko, and you're meeting children. Can you believe in one street of about 200 meters, you will meet 5 children who are out of school? 200 meters, that one Soko street.
But because
you will meet
unable
5 children. When you ask what is the problem, this one aliambiwa uniform, aliambiwa alete kiti. Do you know that for you to access a public primary school in Nairobi, you have to go with a desk?
Yes.
As if the ones who exited class 8 went with the desk. They did not go with the desks. And guess what? You will be told it is not a physical desk that you want to come with. A desk is 5,000. So bring in 5,000. Not a problem. But I am saying the heads of schools also are operating within certain difficulties. But it is the Ministry of Education that is the regulator of policy. Why has the ministry opened parents to so much suffering? Some heads are running public institutions as if they were private institutions, and who suffers? It is those children that I am meeting on the streets. Because when you tell a parent, go and come with 5,000 shillings, go and buy uniform, you're supposed to bring this book, and then every day you come with 50 shillings, you come with and all that. That is how you are meeting children on the streets. And let me tell you, it is not okay. It is not fair. It is not fair. Policy dictates that if the government is telling us that we are implementing 100% transition, when you're transiting to junior, secondary school, for example, that has now become another junction. And the writers of CBC had not, this is not what they had anticipated. It was supposed to further 100% transition. But when we created another junction there, where now you're supposed to transition to a different place and you have a complete set of brand new uniform. And I say, Kenyans are very interesting. Look at international schools.
Yeah.
They coexist all the way from the early years, all the way to senior school in one piece of uniform.
Yeah.
Why do poor people complicate things like this? Why do we like complicating things like this? Why? It is because we have to sustain certain businesses within the school. It is someone's business. So who has failed parents in that particular context? It is the government, because the government is not regulating the sector as it is supposed to regulate the sector. Why isn't the government regulating the sector? Because the government has failed in its duties. So to quote support from these people is, you support me, you keep quiet on the areas that I am weak, and I will also keep quiet when you're doing a few things.
At the expense of the nation's children.
That is
That's
how
what you're
children.
talking
That
about.
is how children are out of school. Otherwise, what explanation does the Ministry of Education have to drop access levels to the levels that access levels have dropped
Today.
at current? Why might be meeting children, and I have threatened that I am going to carry children. I have called them and I have a list of them here. I will give evidence in Jogo House that you guys are walking around this country lying to people that children are in school. These ones are not in school. Let us stop the lies. Let us activate the sector that we knew, where we could see a CS walking around, going to schools. CSAs would walk in schools and head teachers camper.
Yes.
Why? Because of faithfulness and fidelity to policies that the Ministry of Education has set. But at current, a policy of the ministry is just another paper, is an extra paper. This is evidence, which I am taking to the minister right after this show. I am taking to the minister. I want the minister to explain to me, why did you release a policy saying 53,000? This is your school charging 110. This is another one charging 110. I've read you from Lenana School. I've read for you from Limuru Girls is at 83. Why? And 83 minus the 10 that and the 16.
Yeah.
So it's coming to about 96.
96.
96,000 thereabout. In fact, it's 100.
100.
It's 100. It's 100,000.
Yes.
So we can say that C1 schools are now
100,000.
charging an average of 100,000.
And you can't tell me that the ministry is unaware, or can you?
The Ministry of Education has got directors of education all the way to every county and even every sub-county. And these fee structures, from what I know and from practice from other, CSAs that I have seen, are approved by the sub-county directors of education. So the sub-county director of education is acting on whose behalf? Is acting on the behalf of a minister. So if the minister is not aware of this, I do not know that he's not aware. I do not know if he's not aware because he does not want to know or because he doesn't do his job. But what we are saying is that we are not going to sit back and watch the sector going the direction that it is going. Certain people must rise up. Certain people must rise up and defend the children. And let me remind parents, these children are suffering today because of your decisions. And we are now going to another decision moment. Please make good decisions for your children. They will not be there to queue to get that 200 shillings, to get that 500 shillings. Please do not sell their future because of a 500 shillings or because of 1,000 shillings. It is not nice.
In terms of responsibility, we're just going to go to a break in a bit. But in terms of responsibility, here we are, and as we just list down some of these things, but that you say that there's a direct relation between who you put into these positions of leadership at every level, from your wards to your member of parliament to your governor, senator, woman rep, all the way to president. Who you put in these positions then really does matter. And if you can't make the connection between what you're seeing today and where we are tomorrow, then perhaps there is more than a problem than we're able to then recognize. But then when we look at the overall quality of education that's being delivered with all of these challenges that are in at the moment, is it fixable with just a change of leadership, or does it need an entire system overhaul?
There are so many problems in education, so many, that we actually need an overdose. And we need an overdose of, I have said it severally, tone at the top. Yeah, tone at the top. Because what is messing education here is that we have the wrong tone at the top.
Yes.
That is what is ailing education. I want to give you an example of tone at the top and the problems that can portend. I sat here in this show when Nancy Macharia was exiting the Teacher Service Commission. And I predicted that, watch guys, that the Teacher Service Commission is the next thing that William Ruto has his eyes on.
For what purpose, Janet?
For putting a person that can be able to play ball. I am vindicated. Because today, as we speak, we all know who the CEO for TSC is. We all know what has happened to the process. We all know that the process was manipulated to end up with a certain person as the CEO of the Teacher Service Commission. Now, this has a lot of relationship with all the problems that you're seeing teachers having. Because this is somebody who is now a phone call. I mean, this SHA, you hear teachers complaining about SHA and SHE. Their unions cannot do anything.
No.
Because if they try and go against that, TSC is under CAG. It will just be told, do to KNUT like you did the Sosion Times. The deductions and all that. No union no union wants to go through that. And that's why you're seeing, for the first time in the history of KNUT and KUPPET, the union leaders are speaking this language and their members are speaking a different language. Mind you, the elections were barely concluded like a month ago.
Yeah.
So you were expecting that this is the time that the leadership of the unions and their members are in sync more than any other time. But no, because the union leaders know the risks that they face by challenging the government. Because TSC is already under, the control of this person. And that's why I'm telling you, we are not running this country from the systems that we know. We are not running the country from the systems that we know. One person has collapsed all the systems, and he is now the system himself. I am the one who is saying, 23 billion has been sent to schools.
Yeah.
I am very sure even the PS for finance was hearing the 23 billion
for the first time.
For the first time at that particular place. And I want to show you how this one person has captured the system. Do you know, in this country, the PS for education one day walked to Parliament, the Parliamentary Committee on Education, and confessed that we have 50,000 ghost students. 50,000 ghost students. That's the PS admitting. So many months down the line, there is no single. Have you guys heard about one single course of action that has been taken? No. Because why? The teachers spoke, and the teachers said no. We have not stolen any money. The teachers have not stolen money. We dare you point at those teachers who have stolen money. They had nowhere to point because all the fingers were pointing at them. That is how come today. Do you know what it means to have 50,000 ghost students at a cost of 22,000 each? Those are billions of money. But today, the children will be told there is no money. But money will go to ghosts. And the president will do nothing about money. One day we woke up to a Daily Nation, a whole front pager of 2 billion shillings lost to bursaries. I don't know if you remember that headline. 2 billion lost to bursaries. It was the same day that there had been a controversy of somebody who had accused the president of losing too much weight. The president had 5 minutes on a rooftop of a car to discuss his weight loss, but could not discuss 2 billion shillings lost to bursaries. The president is blind to corruption that is happening in the education sector. He is blind for reasons that he alone can explain. How do you explain 2 billion shillings in the education? And the president has not commented. A president who has time to comment about everything else, including commenting about his weight loss. But he will not comment when 50,000 children are ghosts and are sucking money. Because we said, we know ghosts do not withdraw money. There might have been ghost students, yes, but ghosts did not withdraw money. There is somebody who withdrew money. And the records are there. What doesn't the Ministry of Education know? If you have records that you sent this money to this school and this money was withdrawn by a certain person, who is that certain person? In short, this is to say that the monkey's hand is in the bag. Yeah, the monkey's hand is in the bag. And until the monkey removes the hand from the bag, we will not have a country. We will not have a country. And that's why I said, sometimes I am not being political. It is that we cannot discuss education in isolation, because we know all decisions are not being made at Jogo. The decisions are not being made at Jogo. The decisions are being made at Harambee. It is the president who is making every decision about this concerning this country. And I have said, he has sometimes said things, and the PS, the PS is actually the technical in charge. He's the accounting officer of the Ministry of Education. So how do you explain that the president will be saying money was sent? He was telling us the other day that capitation for second term, money has been sent. His PS appearing before committee in parliament is saying, as we are speaking, money is being sent 2 days apart. So how does the president know that the money was sent and the accounting officer is not aware that money was sent? You know, some of those things are not really coming out very, very, very nicely. Allow me to give an analogy to just give the inconsistency.
Okay.
Remember, there's this thing about the Tarakaniti Bridge. The Nithi Bridge.
Yes.
And I've watched it severally because I just wanted to understand the president. In 7 different occasions, he has addressed the Nithi Bridge.
Yeah.
And in one occasion, he says that we have a contractor. As we are speaking, we have identified a contractor, and the contractor is coming. Now, he forgets that. And again, he finds himself addressing the Nithi Bridge. He says, we have found 5 billion shillings to do. We have set aside 5 billion shillings to do Nithi Bridge. Now, he very quickly forgets again when he finds himself with the members from around Nithi and says, we have 7 billion shillings. So you can imagine the movement from 5 billion to 7 billion. So to him, 2 billion is some change, things that we can just discuss.
50 you've missed.
Now hold up, because that is the fifth time that he was addressing the Nithi Bridge, and he said, I actually sat down with it and I had to study it. That we have 2 people that we are discussing with the Nithi Bridge. One of them has told us that it will cost 5 billion. To do the bridge.
Yes.
But this other person is saying it will cost 50 billion. Can you believe a sane person discussing 5 billion and 50 billion in one sentence? I mean, so this is how this country is being governed. Like, you're just fetching stuff from your head and telling us, because you have broken all accountability mechanisms, you have broken every system that can hold you to account, and now it is your word against everyone else's. It is a sad state of affairs.
And there is a certain kind of, I don't know if it's a relief that you get from being able to offload an issue from your chest and complain about it. But after some time, you're saying, we need something to be better. We need something to be, something has got to give at some point. What is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back that we're going to have to get this thing right or get it right?
I don't know that there is anything else that we can say that has not been said. There is no policy that we need. There is no law that we need. We just need a leadership that will implement the laws that there are. That's the only thing that we require. And these laws are not only applying to education. I'm talking about even laws that apply to how our resources are spent. All our problems in this country are about how our resources have been allocated and have been spent. That is why every critical sector is crying. And when you cry, you are told we are paying debts. But long before you even finish understanding how we are paying debts, you're seeing the extravagance. You are seeing, like, if I can just sum up the amount of money the president can give in a month. 20 million here, 10 million here, 20 million here, and I wonder, are we back to Moi days? Are we back to Moi days? Why is there no money anywhere in this country apart from money with a few? You don't think the president does not think that Kenyans are asking themselves that question? Why is there no money with everybody? Why is every sector, there is no money, but there is money with a few? To even give extravagantly 20 million in a Harambee, when a school in the neighborhood is in shanties, I think that we actually need to rethink. We actually need to rethink the leadership of our country. We have made tremendous progress as a country in terms of policy setting up, in terms of our legal setups, the laws that we need.
Yeah.
But now we have now discovered that they are bad hands. When they sit on the steering, they will disregard every policy with impunity, every law with impunity. Because the first thing is to capture Parliament, and to make every development about you. That because you are my friend, I will do this. We just saw, someone like Gathoni Wamuchomba telling us, I will be the president's friend because of this road.
Yeah.
What a law. We can never get to that law. It is not the president's money. This is not his estate that he is distributing to people.
Yeah.
No. Development is supposed to be equitable for everybody, whether I support the president or not. There is supposed to be a blueprint as to how my constituency is developed. But this one person has made development about himself, and there is nothing the members of parliament can do about it because we have the wrong parliament. That's why I'm telling you, 2027 is a defining moment for our country. It's a defining moment because people can see actually that we have a beautiful country, but it will take one person to destroy it and to take us 20 years back in 3 years. That's astronomical speed. We cannot speed backwards that way.
Janet, we spoke earlier about teachers getting into SHA and them being the saving grace for that to work, right? But yet then we have parents as well today who, number one, are unable to take their kids back to school because of fee increase, right? But here we've spoken about the policy that there is and parents who know that policy. What's in it for them? What must they do today because they understand this is what the ministry told us. We're supposed to pay 53,000 shillings.
Yes.
I'm going to school, it's 100,000 shillings. They're listening to us this morning.
Yes.
Should they continue to push? Because at the end of the day, also parents can't just sit and say, my hands are tied. Do they push as well, same as teachers are pushing?
No, what I want to assure them is that I can hear them, I feel them. And the problem is, especially the relationship that parents of this country have with the national schools. It's sad that parents think that the national schools are doing them a favor, so that parents cannot complain. I know, you guys cannot talk. Because if your child is kicked out of Alliance, for an example, you do not know where else you want to take them. So, but we have them covered. It is us who fought for school fees when it was at 110 to 53,000. Let them watch this space. This is our country. We know the law and what the law says. And we are not going to allow anybody to frustrate the children of this country. We shall do it. We will not do it because of their parents. No. We will do it because we have a sacred role of protecting our parents. And the best thing that has happened to this country is the separation of powers. I'm very proud of the judiciary. Very, very proud of the judiciary. Even when we complain about parliament because it's God-forsaken and it is gone, apart from a few people who are really trying to do something about it. But the biggest cohort of them probably know that they are on their way out, and so really they're indifferent. But there is a place of the judiciary in interpreting laws, in interpreting how policy. We look up to that. And I'm assuring parents of this country that they are going to be hearing from the courts, especially on these issues, on this. The Ministry of Education has to clarify to us. What does it mean when they say it is 53,000 against an illegal fee structure of 110,000 that parents are carrying around? I think these conversations are best, clarified. And I want to tell Kenyans that there's a very thin line between politics and education. We have seen and we have evidence today that a bad president will ensure that your child is a dropout in school. Your child will be a school dropout. I have so many children here that are sitting at home and their parents have texted me. They have shared their fee structures, and I want to tell them, we will discuss. Take your children to school. Isn't it the president who stood on a certain platform and said, pelekeni watoto shule? Yeah, he said that. Watoto wasifukuzwe shule. We are holding him to account by
Even
his
with the
words.
old uniform. I
Yeah.
believe.
Even with the old, you remember some
Yeah.
of these things.
Yes.
So take your. We will intervene. We will be there to intervene, and we are, and they are very good heads of schools. Although I understand them, how do you take a child who you expect to sleep in the school, to eat in the school, and you have not paid any money? That's why I'm saying it's a difficult moment for parents. And I want them to really think about this moment. And they think about how bad leadership directly enters inside your household and converts you to a beggar. We have now seen Harambes for universities.
Yes.
They came back like they never left. And there's a time we enjoyed bliss. People were not, including the time I went to the university myself. There is no Harambe that was done, and several other people. So William Ruto will not run this country as if we have not existed in the past.
So I
We
hear you
have
making a
existed.
direct connection
Yes.
Yes.
between what is happening in your current existence and the decision that you make when it comes to the leaders that you choose. So it's not just an affair, that you're going to just vote, and then what you're saying is that the very pain points that you feel today, are you making a connection between that and the decisions
and the
that you make?
Beauty, let me tell you the beauty of 2027 is that the problems that all of us have gone through have brought the middle class and the poor together, because the middle class has been heavily attacked on the pay slip. The pay slips are not breathing. They're choked. Yet, even when you go to that SHA that you have been deducted for, it is still not working for you. Do not forget that it is this middle class that are supporting their ailing parents at home and those SHA issues. So we have a very clear understanding. In the past, the middle class has been behaving like, politics. They will be reading papers when people are showing up for nominations. They will be, some of them will even be deciding that they are not going to vote because the queue is too long. This time, in 2027, this is life. It's a life-saving moment. Everyone has a decision. Everyone has something to say on the ballot. Everyone has something to say on the ballot, including those people who were in the past acting so indifferent about it. They have been affected directly by bad leadership. And the poor people are feeling it. They're feeling it the most. I'm telling you, vibandas are closed. Vibandas are closed because that your business is not performing does not stop Kanjo from coming to collect their levies. They're doing it so ruthlessly because someone else at the city county is also waiting for that money, to eat.
Yeah.
So, it is so clear. It has become so clear to us. Like, you will kill me on my payslip like this, only for you to show up with that money and distribute it like it was your money in the first place. I like how William Ruto has united the country. I like how he has united the country, and he has gone against what he was saying. He had put Mama Mboga and hustlers on one place,
Hustler dynasty,
and the rest of other people in some place.
Yeah.
But these few years has united people, and I am believing every Kenyan has something to say on the ballot.
For those who may not take this role seriously, that somebody else may have to do it, because we can be, caught up in the politics of the day, to who your preferred candidate might be at the MCA level, at the MP level. You can be caught up in all of that.
Yes.
But how do we separate that enthusiasm, that excitement at that moment from the bread and butter issues of how it needs to actually change? Whereby you talk about it and you can be caught up in one term, two term. You can be caught up in, okay, this is my guy, this is not my guy. You can be caught up in that. But the things that we see, you can't lie about the things that we know.
Yes.
You can't lie about the facts that, or you cannot be excited about the fact that there are thousands of children who are out of school.
Yes.
You cannot lie about the fact that the economy has affected people in their pocket. You can't lie about the certain things that you see. There, you can touch them. Right? Whether you can talk about a bridge that was supposed to have been built 50 times, that hasn't happened. You talk about a stadium that's not there. And then maybe you go back to the times of, I was being explained to you yesterday how the Mlolongo system worked.
Yeah.
Dennis will stand. The people who want to vote for him will stand behind him.
him.
And we will count them until night, until you get to that.
Yes.
People said stand on business. Stand behind the things that you said you were going to do.
I know that.
If we can't see anything behind you, my friend, then perhaps you shouldn't be there. If you can't fix things that we are saying have actually gone wrong, and you have a responsibility as somebody, how do you then separate and say, okay, guys, we can be excited in the moment and who gave the most money or who did the thing and the sweeping crowds, but who's going to stand on business in terms of certain things that then should be done. How do you separate between that excitement and this thing that we're saying today that are pain points? You feel the pain in your pocket, in your home, in your everyday when you wake up. How do you then say?
The good thing about this, is that everyone carries their pay slip. Everyone carries it. Nobody carries it for you. Your tribesman does not carry for you. You don't go to collect them, at one place. And I saw when we were having mafuta, the high cost of fuel, something very funny was being asked. Watu watuta mumepewa price list yenu, or which pumps are you? To just say, all of us are meeting at the pain points.
Yeah.
All of us are meeting at the pain points. And there are some things that you will not be able to undo.
Yeah.
If your child missed school,
that's it.
If you paid fees, this pain that you see parents going through, everybody is going through that pain. And so, that's why I'm saying it's a uniting moment. It's a uniting moment for the country. And you can only, and we are calling it a patriotic moment. We are calling this a patriotic moment. Even if you could be very lucky to have skipped those pain points, probably because you're insulated by certain privileges, we are inviting you in solidarity with these children, because I can bet you, if your children of your neighbor do not go to school, you will not know peace inside that your house. Even you will put CCTV, even you will put what, but they will waylay you outside your gate. They will beat you, they will kill you, they will do so many bad things to you, and you will be paying for your consequences of being insensitive, of looking away when other people suffered just because you are at a point of privilege. And that's why I'm telling you, these are uniting moments. When you walk into the villages and you try and identify, you guys, where exactly are you? You will listen. The people are not being incited by anybody, but people have experienced. And especially when we saw how it took the late Mwai Kibaki to bring up a country from literally nowhere, and the guy worked and brought the country to where it Uhuru and Ruto found it.
Is it time for Wananchi to set the agenda?
Wananchi have set the agenda.
Yeah.
Wananchi have set the agenda.
They know. It's been set.
And the panic that you're seeing at current is because people know that Wananchi have set the agenda. Why? Let me tell you how Wananchi has set the agenda. The Kisumu example was a very good example, where the government funded, cohort with a lot of braggadocio. Of course, they were saying, this will not happen here. This will not happen here. Did it happen or it happened? Wananchi have set the agenda. The state tried to push away the former deputy president. They pushed him. They pushed him away. The case is still in court. But what have Wananchi done? Wananchi have stood with him in a way that has never seen before. So who is setting the agenda? Somebody different is setting the agenda. There is somebody different who is setting the agenda. And I like that citizens of this country, courtesy of the programs like free education. Now we have a very young and educated populace. Almost every young person is holding a phone in their hands. All of them, it's the information age. So there's very little that a leadership can do, especially when the pain points are with everybody. When you retire to your house and you close the door, away from the noise, you have come from that rally, well and good. You have come from it, but you have found your child in the house. They did not go to school, or probably they were sent back. So that relaxes you a little. And even when you are singing tutam and tutam and tutam, you come back home and relax because you meet your realities there.
And you meet your realities there. It's not a surprise that she's the executive director of the Tunzam Toto Coalition and looking into some realities today. And that's it. You come home to the reality, don't you? And that should actually fuel your decisions. Your reality should fuel your decision. Janet Ouko, thank you. You've been with us for a couple of hours today. And like we said at the beginning of this at 6 o'clock, is to have conversations that will open our eyes to certain realities. That's why we have them. Not to get you on a bandwagon. It doesn't matter what side, but to come in touch with your reality. reality?
Sure.
And what are you going to do with that? Thank you for being with us this morning. We continue to have these conversations because they're important. And thank you, all of you, for joining us on this 29th of April. As we've had these conversations, Dennis and Ndu saying, have a wonderful day. We'll talk again tomorrow. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.